Hey guys, Zack here, and welcome back to another action figure review, and today we'll be taking a look at the Gashapon high-grade diorama Hedorah. Now, this monster comes from the 1971 film Godzilla vs. Hedorah, which is a movie that I talked about briefly in the past, but to talk about my feelings about the movie again, I think it's very weird and very surreal. Not in a bad way, it's still, like, enjoyable, and that's kind of how I feel with a lot of, like, Godzilla movies. Like, to me, there's no such thing as a bad Godzilla movie, unless we're talking about, like, the anime movies, because those are genuinely bad, but even a bad Godzilla movie, for me, is, like, still entertaining. You know, movies like Godzilla's Revenge and Godzilla, versus Megalon. And this movie is one of those exceptions where it's not great, but at the same time, I can still find some enjoyment out of this movie, so, yeah. Anyway, with all of that out of the way, let's get into this. So before we take a look at Hedorah herself, and again, just like with Mogira, I'm pronouncing Hedorah as a she. Again, you can thank Monster Island Buddies for that. Let's take a look at her stand, and her stand is kind of weird. This is the same as the Gashapon figures we had before, the ones that I reviewed in August, I think? Either August or July. Maybe September, but I could be wrong about that, but yeah, the same, like, Godzilla skin-like base. And the actual platform itself, it's like this weird, like, it's supposed to be like pollution water, but there's like a big hole in it for some reason, so I don't know what the point is, and just kind of like plugs in like that, and then I guess she just, I don't know, just stands on the hole, I guess. So yeah, I don't know why this is just a hole here, but I don't know, whatever. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the stand. Nothing special. Now for Hedorah herself, and first we'll take a look at the painting on this figure, and the painting on this figure, again, just like with the original set, for such a small figure, the painting here is actually very high quality. Well, not so much the back. The back looks a little sloppy, but the front of the figure I think looks really good. There's a lot of grays, but there's also like hints of red and yellows and greens to give it that like disgusting like trash look, which I think looks really well on this figure. Oh, her arm came off. We'll talk about that in a second. Her eyes are painted red with sort of yellowish and blackish pupils, which is accurate to the film. And yeah, on the back, I talked about this before, we have some reds and yellows, which doesn't look the best, it just looks tacked on, but it's there. And we even have some of that painting on the tail as well. So, yeah. And that's pretty much it for the painting on this figure. And the painting on this figure, for the most part, looks great for what it is. The back, once again, is very sloppy, but I feel like the front of this figure, in terms of paint, looks great. So, the painting on this figure, I'd say, gets 3/4 of a pass. If it wasn't for this back, then this figure would get a full pass. Also, my door, that was my dog, I apologize for that, so, yeah. Anyway, now I'll take a look at the articulation, and these figures don't really have, like, legit points of articulation, but when you do get these figures, they do come disassembled. And basically, what you do, just take this figure apart. And yeah, you'll get the figure like this. Well, you get the figure like this, and it's very simple to put it together. Just take this bottom piece and just line up the pegs, so you can plug in like so. Oh. Take this arm, this arm here, and what you want to do is you just kind of want to plug it in like so, and then you take this upper half and plug that in. Then you plug this in, this other arm, and then you plug in her tail. And it's pretty straightforward. You know, it comes together very simple, so yeah. Again, no real joints on this figure, but it does come disassembled and you do have to assemble it. So these are just like little like statue figures, so the lack of articulation isn't really like a problem for me. So the articulation, it doesn't get a pass, but no pass isn't always a bad thing. Again, these are supposed to be just little statues, so I think the lack of articulation is just, it's fine. So, yeah. Articulation, no pass, but again, no pass is not always a bad thing. Now we'll take a look at the sculpt, and the sculpting on this figure is great. This looks very spot on to how she looked in Godzilla vs. Hedorah. Her tail I remember looking a little different, and her eyes I feel like should be a little bigger, but other than that, the sculpting here is very nice, and I really like it. So the sculpting on this figure definitely gets a pass. Now we'll take a look at the detailing, and the detailing once again is very nice. So taking a look at her body, we can see all of the, I don't know what this would be. It's not scales, but just like I don't know, like tentacles, I guess. Hedorah is basically a pollution monster, and I guess it's supposed to be like pollution material, I guess. So I guess this figure does look very disgusting, but in a good way. This Biolante, no, Hedorah is supposed to be the embodiment of pollution. So again, this very disgusting looking figure, but that's what they were trying to go for when they were designing this character. So I feel like, it's disgusting, but in a good way. Everything here very well defined. Her eyes nicely detailed. And yeah, not really a lot to talk about. There's just the same sort of like pollution like material, I guess. So yeah, all of the detailing here on Hedorah is very nicely defined and looks very nice. So the detailing on this figure gets a pass. So at the end of the day, should you get this? Honestly, Hedorah is probably my least favorite in the set, but I still think that she is a very nice figure. And actually, a lot of these newer high-grade Gashapon figures I feel like are very nice in terms of quality. For the most part, the painting looks great. The sculpting, the detailing, everything is great on these figures. And, like, Hedorah, again, is a great figure. My least favorite in the set, but that doesn't mean she's a bad figure. She's still a great figure. And, yeah. In terms of prices, I don't think you can get these figures. Well, you can get these figures, like, individually. But if you want the whole set, then it's on Amazon for about 35 bucks. So, if you do want the whole set, then, again, just go to Amazon and just pay that 38 bucks. And, yeah. But anyway, definitely get this set. Spoiler alert, I actually really like this set. So, yeah. Anyway, if you want to know how big she is, and here she is next to Dr. Billy Grant. Alright. Now, that is it for today. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you in the next video. Peace. Zack out.